This is John Palmadocci, Dr. Speed Slang, and this is the Raging Verbalist number 48. Raging Verbalist is on Facebook, YouTube. Subscribe, like, ring the bell, all of those things. Get a cookie, whatever makes you happy. As you know, as always, with me is the lovely Sandra. Sandra, welcome to the Raging Verbalist.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Well, we're having fun, aren't we? Aren't we having fun?
That's right, always.
We're having fun, yeah. Kids, don't make me pull this car over. We're having fun. So. All right. Well, so I just have to do a quick disclosure because of the hot topic today, and this is one of those things. So, for those of you who don't know, and again, we're going to be talking about the new iPhones that have come out, and we're going to be talking about that. Now, there's about 900 unboxing videos. Now, I didn't buy one yet, so there's no unboxing. But I do have to disclose that, that Sandra is in a no Apple zone. I don't know if it was part of the prenup agreement with her betrothed. I'm not quite sure how deep it goes, and I just want everybody to know that. So she is not an Apple fan. I guess you wouldn't say fanboy because that sounds kind of weird because nobody would ever, I mean, I would not mistake her. Again, I don't want to get into the whole gender thing, but but she is not a fan poison or a fan, I guess if you're out west, you'd be the fan gal, maybe. I don't know. So, but and all I can say is, Sandra, if blink if you need help. You may want to put a tag at the end of this. If you know someone who is being held in a Apple free zone, here's an 800 number or something. But it's not quite as bad as the anti-Starbucks people. By the way, I've run into some of them. Luckily they don't go door to door, but the anti-Starbucks people, I've run into them, who will tell me, why would anybody ever go? So, but that's a different group. So today we're going to talk about Apple iPhones. So, Sandra, what is the first thing that's on your mind? I mean, clearly she's not blinking her eyes, so I think we're in okay shape. I have met her betrothed, her other half, her better half, her game playing guy, and he seems perfectly reasonable. Other than it's an Apple free zone. So I mean, they don't even have Red Delicious. He doesn't even want to get close to that. I mean, doesn't want to get close to the peel. So anyway, Sandra, what do you have for us today as we start this start this off?
All right, so did you watch the announcement of the new iPhone?
I did watch the announcement. I watched it on replay. I find that, and here's the thing is that when you watch an Apple intro, I mean, imagine, a high-end movie production meets infomercial. I mean, it's pretty slick, very slick video, like an hour and something minutes long. And they've got zooming in and out, and they've got people, coming in and out, and they're using all these kind of special effects. I mean, I do long for the, Steve Jobs standing on stage in front of an audience, but I understand, John, you got to give it up. Steve is dead, vaudeville's dead, move on. So anyway, very slick video, and there's some big news, which we're going to go into now. And some of you may already know the big news, but I'm going to give you my sense of it. And let me give you why I'm probably a good person to potentially listen to, because unlike all of these people who say, well, I've owned an iPhone, or I've owned a phone for, well, first time I ever got a cell phone was in 1987, and no, it wasn't, gas powered. I didn't have to go out there, like a chainsaw, pull the ripcord a bunch of times. I didn't have to do that. But it was in the ancient days. There were no G's, by the way, like G Whiz or 1G or 3G or all that. So I watched the whole thing, and it was pretty interesting. I skipped a few parts, I mean, it's, sometimes there's the boring parts and all of that. So here's the big news. The big news is that there was 5G. Big news was 5G. And it was like, wow, 5G. Now, this is big because we've been talking about 5G. All of the Android fans out there who are now banging your pewter plates to the wooden table in a Dickens-esque type of move, saying we've had 5G for a long time. Well, you can have 5G, but if you don't have a network, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't do any good. But anyway, so Apple made a big news that it's going to be 5G. So let me tell you why 5G is important, which is that it can now go at massive download speeds. So you can download all kinds of things. You can watch things that may be inappropriate, but you can do it faster, and all that. I mean, you could go 4 gigabits per second is like what they project it to be. By the way, if you ever hit that, your phone will probably light up, and a ray of light will come out, and the Stargate will open, and none of that's going to happen. But that's really fast, and that's the big yikes question. Now, Verizon must have paid a shitload of money, big bag of dough, because they were embedded into this, and Hans, and I mean, I'm not talking about like Hans from Die Hard, but Hans, this accent came on and said that 5G is now real. Well, what were you telling me a year ago when you're telling me I needed to buy a new Samsung phone, pal? What was it then? Not real, semi-real, quasi-real, semi-5? I don't know. But it's now real. Now the thing is that we now have this super fast network, but you have to be like standing like right by it. I was in Denver a couple weeks ago, as some of you may recall, and I wanted to go see a 5G, tower. I thought I would see something, akin to, the pyramids, or, a big giant Trojan horse or something. And really it's a cell tower with a different looking antenna, because I was able to pick out that, by the way. So no, we almost like being a bird watcher, you can have like a cell phone tower watcher. Hey, well, what do you think? Is that a milliwave 5G? I don't know. Let me see. Get the binoculars. Anyway, that was the big deal, 5G. And now it's interesting, because I have been talking about this for every year. And now that we have the Raging Verbalist, I will be posing this by the end of this year. Is I ask all of my clients, all of my coaching clients, consulting clients, people who have bought stuff from me, I pose a question. And I pose a question which is a little bit like, I don't know if you're aware of it, but like there are, people who are playing chess games back and forth where, there's two boards, and, people are keeping track of each other, and they're going back and forth. So what I do is I ask a question of people and say, this is kind of like a thinking stumper question, and see what answers I get from people. So the question I've been asking in a recurring fashion, because frankly, it has been out there and I've gotten very lousy answers. Hey, campers, get better at your answers. But here's the question I've been posing, which now this kind of drives us forward, is I said, look, what happens when the internet speeds that you have approach or get to 1 gigabit? That's gigabit, by the way, folks, not gigabytes. So it's 1/8 the speed. When you get to gigabit internet speeds, how does it affect your business? And it will affect your business. Now, 5G leapfrogs that and gets to 4G. So it's kind of interesting, because it took 5 years of this. Now we're still not there. Now, most of us do not know what we'll do with that speed if we had it. But I can tell you that, having gone through how many of these, wait a second, this is Raging Verbalist number 48, having gone through how much technical problems, getting the little flashing thing from Zoom saying your internet resource is low. It's nice they say that, I mean, it's a little unnerving when you're trying to do something like this and present and get this out there, and then it flashes that up there. Like, what am I supposed to do about it now? Or when it freezes you. Remember, we had Sandra was working on her mime process a few weeks ago. I mean, those of you who did not see it, she did a great job. And then she'd start talking again. And but anyway, so that we'll see what that's going to be. So that was big. It was big. Now, for any of you who do not understand that 4G LTE, or 4G, which is a stands for, so what does G stand for? Gee whiz, other G things. I don't want to get off into some kind of, sexual thing like G spot or anything, but, now for technologists, 5G, maybe that is the G thing that we've all been hoping for. But anyway, many say that that's a myth and an unfindable, but that's, we'll leave that for another raging verbalist. So I don't want to get personal out there, but 4G is out there, and the country that has the highest penetration of 4G is South Korea. So they have 97.5% of the country is covered with 4G. So I think the next time I need cell coverage, I'll go to South Korea. What the hell, right? The US supposedly has 93%. I call bullshit on that, because I can tell you I have been, not this year that we're in, because this year has been a dumpster fire about this. But I was at an event in Vegas in 2019, and I can tell you that the saturation of the network, we dropped to 3G pretty quickly, saturated that network, and dropped to 1X, which is essentially 1G. All I can tell you is, don't even try to send a cat juggling video. It won't happen, or even a photo. So, and here's the other interesting thing, is that 19% of the US cellular population still has only 3G. This is in 2019, only 3G devices. So, 5G is coming, and there's still 19%. For those of you who don't know how to do math, don't take off your shoes. Now, we don't want to see your toes. It's like that's 1 out of 5. Okay, so that's it. I mean, it was pretty interesting. Very slick video. Understand there's a moving window of apps that are going to take place, and those apps are going to, of course, change how we do things, and we'll find really cool things to do. I have to say, again, for all my bashing and trashing, and I've used every network, so don't think that I haven't. I have used every network out there that I can think of. I mean, I am an early adopter of some of these things, and then you'll have to wait till the very end to hear if I'm going to buy a new iPhone 12. You have to wait for that, so don't ditch on me now. Hang in there. We're gonna get to there. So so that was my take of it. And Sandra, I did make it through all the way to the end. I made it through the sanctimonious shit they talk about, and all of that, which is why I understand there are some, Apple, I don't want to say haters, but haters, what the heck. Okay, so Sandra, what is the next question that you have, which is just burning? Got to get it.
All right. How many models are there?
Well, Apple decided, why introduce 1 or 2 models? Why stop at 3? They have 4 models. So we'll go over those for any of those people who are out there who have, because I'm here to help. So Apple has actually done an interesting thing, which is they keep building out their product brand, because this has got billions and billions of dollars. Now, I have to say this, because if I don't, some people say, oh, he had a financial interest. So I have a very small position in my stock portfolio with Apple stock, and all I can say is, please go up. Okay, but me saying this and the number of people who listen to this, the likelihood of Tim Cook going, great, Mendoza pushed the rock over the hill, probably ain't going to happen. But anyway, 4 different models. So there is, and we'll do it on availability. So right now you can go out and buy an iPhone 12. And an iPhone 12 essentially has an aluminum little case around it, and it looks pretty cool. And it's not a Pro. It's just an iPhone 12. Just think of it as, that cousin who couldn't really make it into their A school. They had their fallback school, and they're going to community college. Think of it that way. So that's the iPhone 12. It does have a super fast processor. All of them are 5G. All of them have essentially the same processor. It has 64 gigabytes of available storage. And I heard a lot of people, because I watched a lot of different other reviews, And people are saying, how in the world could we live with just 64 gigs? Understand, remember, probably you don't, but at one point in time, we had a lot of people saying, wow, what would we do with, you know, just a gigabyte? Well, actually, my favorite is Bill Gates at one point in time, because of not Windows, DOS problems, couldn't go back past 640 kilobytes, and he questioned the necessity for it. How's that for ancient history? Blow the dust off of that one. So anyway, that's the iPhone 12. Then you jump to the Pro, and we'll be talking about the differences in a second. And then we have the Mini and the Pro Max. So you have Mini, iPad. Why do I keep saying iPad? iPhone 12 Mini, which is now smaller for those with small hands who do not feel any kind of Freudian sense of this thing. Then we have the iPhone 12, then we have the Pro, and then we have the Pro Max. So we have 4 of them. So there you go. Pick a card, any card. And so there you go, Sandra. That question has been answered. What is the next question?
Yeah, so going back, what's the difference between all of the different iPhone 12s?
So the big difference is, the first thing is size. So what they did is they tried to make all the screens bigger, smaller bezels, so you could put essentially, and Sandra can relate to this because of the fact that she has a farm background, is how much shit can you get into a bag? And so what they've done is they've reduced the bezel size, so the screen is bigger, but the outside isn't. So it's a screen size thing. And even the Mini has a bigger screen than last year's, because they've eliminated a bunch of it and the screen got bigger. So that's a big thing. And then there's footprint, right? So footprint is the overall size of the phone. So for some of you who are saying, I would never buy a big phone, you should probably go check it out. Again, hard to do with retail stores shut down. But what you'll probably discover is that you'll want a bigger phone. I mean, here's the thing I know, having watched how many people, put their eyes glued to a phone, is that they want the biggest screen they can get. So there's that. And then weight, they have gotten slimmer. And who doesn't want to be slimmer? I mean, yeah, I do. I mean, so I mean, maybe I can say part of my weight loss, this will be a rationale. I went out, honey, I bought a new iPhone because I'm on that weight loss program. And if I step on the scale with the phone, I actually now weigh less. Seems like a little bit of a stretch to me, but so there's that. The next thing is the fact that the cameras are really different, right? So you got these cameras, and that's pretty interesting, because cameras are selling the crap out of iPhones. By the way, if you're doing anything bad, just know that there's probably somebody with a camera who will take pictures of you, video of you, and all of that. Just ask Alec Baldwin, ask these people who are getting their videos taken. Now, the downside of it, of course, is that but most of the time it's not what the camera sees, it's what it doesn't see. But back to our discussion of the iPhone, is that so all of the iPhone, the Mini and the non-Pro, have dual cameras. That would be 2 for all of you out there who are trying to parse that out. And they're better than last year. They're all of this. I can tell you that the phones have better cameras than ever, which is kind of cool. So, and Apple, by the way, prides itself on that. That's one of their big distinguishing things. They want to stick their thumb in the eye of Samsung. By the way, do not sit there and look at the number of pixels, because how many megapixels, because turns out, I mean, they're all pretty small sensors compared to like a big digital SLR. Now, when you get to the pros, dun dun dun. When you get to the pros, there's 3 cameras, and they add in what's called a LiDAR. Now, when you get to, and we'll describe what LiDAR is in a second, When you get to 3 cameras, you have a regular lens, a wide angle lens, and a telephoto lens. And all of this is designed, of course, to let you get that shot that you want. I do have to tell you that, whenever I see these shots, the resolution goes up and your pore size gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you're a big pore person, then you may want to, figure out how to, like, put some spackle in there or something. But just saying, I mean, that's why people say, well, I don't need makeup to go on camera. Yeah, you do. So anyway, they have these big cameras. They have stabilization. They're going to take better pictures. That's pretty cool. LiDAR is a light sensing sensor, and a lot of people wonder its value. Now, I know about LiDAR because of selling to the defense and military world, and LiDAR was developed for that. It is a pretty cool sensor. So if you're going to take something in the dark, you're going to get a really interesting shot. Also, the pros have 700 million colors. I mean, that's a lot of crayons. I mean, that's just a ton of crayons. I got to tell you. I mean, it better have a sharpener on that box. So, and that's pretty cool. The next thing is the speed of the processors. That's gone up. Apple again prides themselves. They have the new A14 chip. Doesn't mean a lot to most people. But here's the cool part for those of you who are geeking out, is that it is going to be the first chip available on what is called a 5 nanometer, really tiny, really small process. Now, to give you a context, when I was selling high-speed digital signal processors in the 1980s, we introduced a system based upon an Intel processor, long gone, and that Intel processor was called the i860. Paid for my house, so let's not be denigrating that chip. But the cool part about that chip is that it had 1 million transistors, and everybody went ooh ah, because that's a lot, right? That's a lot. I mean, the original Intel processor, the 4004, had 2,300 transistors, so that's like a crap load. And the new A14, which is on all of them, has 11.8 billion transistors, and it just, I mean, they have to count. They don't have, like, a team of people counting them and going, okay, how many do you have? Like 1, 2, 3. No, they don't do it that way. So, but that's a lot. That's a lot of processing to hold in your hand, which I'm quite impressed with that. And then the other thing, the difference is number 4 is money, money, money. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am a technology agnostic. Maybe is the right way to say it. I mean, I go to, like, lots of different churches. So I mean, I have Android phones here, Android phone. I have iPhone. I have, I got it all. I got all this stuff. Now, don't ask me why. Not going to go there, but I got all this stuff. Now, the reason why I say that is that lots of times when I'm watching these reviews, if somebody is really stuck in their religion, everything that Apple does is great and everything that the Android guys is crap or whatever. No, I mean, it's all just different pieces of the other thing. So let's talk money, money, money. So if you want to buy a new iPhone 12, the little mini starts at not a mini price, but $699. And it's got the wimpy memory. By the way, if you're going to buy one, make sure that you upgrade the memory, because I can tell you that memory is an important thing, especially if you want to keep the phone a long time. I'll give you my one commentary of the difference between Android phones and iPhones. Okay. Here's my one commentary, is that since there is no big giant jackbooted thug forcing everybody to actually stick to the plan, is that brand new Android phone will eventually not be upgradable, and it becomes essentially too light to be a paperweight and not thick enough to really stabilize the table. And that's because there is an amazing amount of fragmentation in the Android operating system market. I have old iPhones long since retired. They're now in the aged home because I do keep some of these things. I know I have some vision that I'll eventually build an installation with them, or I don't know, get enough of them. We could build an addition to the house. But I can tell you that the iPhones last longer because the operating system keeps being refreshed. So there you go. So you got that out. Whew. Okay, $699 for the mini. The 12 is $799. The Pro is the iPhone 12 Pro. The smaller one is $999, and for the big one, the Max, the dun dun dun, starts at $1,099. So that's some serious. That's a serious a bunch of dough. Also, they were selling the crap out of them on payments, and it was pretty interesting to watch that in this, announcement. Again, it's always fun to watch it because, like I said, it's like a high-end, very glossy infomercial, and yep, they did it. Okay, so while you're sitting there wondering and contemplating and asking yourself the question, which phone should I buy? Well, I can tell you one thing that without a doubt you should be buying right now. And that is you should be buying my book, Shameless Plug. You should be buying Most Businesses Fail in the First 5 Minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it. Position to Win. Android, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. You can get it all kinds of digital ways. You can get it on our website at positiontowinbook.com, positiontowinbook.com. And if you buy it there, it's not cheaper. Not cheaper. Okay. So I don't want to have people sending me, how come it's not cheaper? And I will, well, maybe if you're nice, maybe I'll sign it. Maybe I'll even sign it to somebody and say, there you go. Also, go to turnaroundengine.com, turnaroundengine.com, and check out my latest adventure with Gabe Batista and what we're doing in this crazy time. But go check out the book. We also have a book called Remote Work for a Better World that's available exclusively on Amazon Kindle. Okay, so we have gone past that. Now, Sandra, what is the next question that you have?
All right. So talking about all these phones, which one are you going to buy?
Well, there's a saying in Texas, you go big or you go home. Sometimes that's true, but the one that I'm, lusting after in my heart is, of course, the iPhone 12 Pro Max with the biggest memory, and that is $1,400. Yikes.
Sounds more expensive than the laptop you bought this year.
Well, and it's funny you say that because, I actually have the receipt, and I bought a Windows 2-in-1 laptop and I had to pay I got an adapter, I got, a pen, I got all of that. And with tax, I paid $954.37. So yes, Sandra, it is more expensive. And if you want to know, that's one of those things. I mean, I still have a few more payments on this little baby, and just a little bit more. I'll be the proud owner of this phone. I won't be just a renter. I'll be an owner. Pride of ownership. Take it out. Maybe I can just, wrap it up. I mean, put it in a little blue blankie or something, take a picture, But yes, it is more expensive than the laptop that I've purchased, which seems to be a very capable laptop, pretty cool laptop. So all I can tell you is that, yes, that is somewhat of a shock. So, that's kind of crazy. So that actually gets us to that point where you say, oh, do you pull the pin or not? I probably won't buy it really quickly. I know some people who ordered it the day they became available. By the way, the Max is not available for order, and I think the Mini isn't available for order until November 6th. And for those of you who are counting it down, the sands of time are inexorably getting to your appointed rounds to buy these. Again, I have to say, hey, I own a little bit of Apple stock. Like it's not going to change things. Oh, by the way, the 12, because of the 5G, They sold 2 million of these things already, like in the pre-order thing. It's like bang. So it's a lot of phones, but we'll see where they go. All right, Sandra, what do we have? What do we have?
All right, so even though I don't plan on buying any Apple products, what would you say to people who are out there trying to make that decision?
Well, the first thing is I would implore them to try to understand you and try to see that the situation you're in is and it is, from what I can see, a loving, healthy relationship, even though it is devoid of Apple products. I'm sure there's somebody in Cupertino, uh, crying a little bit for it. But here's what I would say: is first off, I would say choose wisely. Figure out what you really want. I think a lot of people, and because people know that I'm kind of into technology, when this thing got announced, I got all these people who text me and say, "Hey, John, what would you do?" I'll share the same advice I share with all of them. How old is the phone that you have? If you have a phone that is relatively new, like, a couple years old, in all likelihood, unless you are one of these, I've got to have the latest, you probably can hold off for a little bit, even though I know I own some stock. So I could be talking myself out of it, a couple of points up, because there's going to be a lot of people going to buy this. So I would say choose wisely, figure out what it's going to be, buy the phone that matches what your requirements are. But more importantly, is what is the use case? What are you going to do with this thing? I can tell you that I've met more people who underutilize their phone, iPhone and Android, but they underutilize their phone, and it is astonishing. I mean, the fact that you have a camera, a video camera, a timer. I mean, I use a timer every single day, to the annoyance of many. I use this every day to access my vast amount of information in Evernote. So what is your use case, and figure out what that is. Now, some people are into games. That's, I don't understand it, but that's what they do with it. Besides which, if you're going to play a game on a little 5-inch screen, I mean, and you're going to spend that much money, you can buy a pretty big screen for that amount of money. Can you not, Sandra?
You can.
Sa-
QLED, OLED,
you can,
60-inch or 65-inch.
yeah. Go big or go home.
That's right.
So what's your use case? What's your budget? But most importantly is, I would say, do something with it that is actually productive, especially since you're listening to Raging Verbalist. I'm very business oriented. Do something. I'll share with you a story. I had a client, I was doing my signature turnaround, and my client bought everybody in the sales and marketing department identical laptops. I mean, a crap load of laptops. And to my chagrin, he gave one to me because he said, John, you're part of the team. You've got to have one of these. Now, at this point in time, I was decidedly a Mac person, and Windows wasn't as good as Windows is today. I can tell you that. And Windows had a lot of problems, like hanging up, and the answer whenever you'd call up and say it's hung up, is they would just sit there and say, just write this down, reboot it, and there was a lot of rebooting going on. Anyway, he buys all these laptops, and we're done with the sales meeting, and we're flying, and I'm sitting up front with him. Rank has this privilege, and I find out that the restroom up front is like, somebody went in there, and God knows what they're doing in there, because they're in there a while. Even as a solo, I don't want to even think about it. So I walk from the front of the plane to the back, which means you got to walk the whole length of the plane. And of course, I see all of these people who work for him, all these people who I'm involved with, and almost all of them have their laptop open. Two people in the entire group, probably 30 of them, have it open, and they're actually doing something productive. And one person was from the accounting department, so in some ways he doesn't count. And the other was a salesperson who said, my credit card is a little high. I'm trying to get my expense report done. But nobody was doing what he thought they would be doing with these things. I mean, they had them up, they had them running, but they were playing games. Some of them had inappropriate content. We'll just leave it at that. So my laptop story is that, do something with it, do something productive. And then, you have to decide. You have to decide what you're going to do or not do. And that there's this whole phone envy thing that goes on. and people go back and forth and back and forth. Frankly, it's does it do what you need it to do? And can you get the job done? And if you can, then that's the phone for you. Now, I understand phones are status symbols. I understand some of those things, but you got to be careful because that kind of crazy thinking can get you in trouble. And then finally, you got to be smart. You have to be smart about what you're going to do. See, the reason why we're talking about the iPhone 12 is that if you remember the book, right? Most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes, just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it. Position to win. This is a book about positioning. Apple has done an incredible job positioning the iPhone family, the whole concept of how iPhone works in an amazing way. Now, overall, will more Android phones be sold? Yes. However, most of them are sold at a loss, which is because, they're just not going to get there. Now, for some people, that's fine, but go learn the lesson about how Apple has maintained their position. I've had a ongoing bet. It's just basically for soft drinks because I don't drink, and he won't bet me cash anymore, that iPhone is going to continue to be that premier phone. Now, I know for all of you who will be writing comments, tell me about the Samsung, whatever. All I can tell you is that Apple ends up inhaling like 90% of the profit, maybe more, in any given quarter of all the smartphone sales. So you tell me who's smart. I mean, the guys who are selling it and losing money, or the guys who are actually making money off of it. So Apple, the iPhone has a great positioning story and something to learn. So what I want to do is just remind everybody, go out and have a good old time, figure out what you want to buy and decide what that's going to be. And of course, one can always hope that maybe the world will open up and maybe someday Sandra can actually get her own iPhone, but maybe not. I think she'll still be okay. So Sandra, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And for all of you, this has been the Raging Verbalist number 48. And go out and have a great week. And we'll be talking to you later.